My name is Braxton, and you're watching Darker Than Darkness. Today we're joined here with...
Salivus!
So I know we privately talked a little bit about like the whole bring back 80s thrash thing. How do you guys try to stay away from that trend, and stylistically and maybe a little bit like musically?
Honestly, I mean, as you can see, we don't all really look like super 80s or anything like that. And when we came together, it was never really about trying to revive something that like seemed to have died or whatever. We just came together with all of our different influences and let that kind of drive what we wanted to drive forward. Like, we want the music to speak a certain like emotion per song, like whatever we're feeling, whatever we're like wanting to fucking headbang to, and then the lyrics kind of go along with that. But it all starts with the music, and we wanted it to kind of reflect something new rather than like trying to stay in the past and kind of be limited in that box.
So you kind of think that a lot of it is just being stuck in different ways and not really progressing the genre forward, especially a genre that has been alive or maybe in the underground a little bit?
It definitely seems like a lot of people, I don't know, they kind of put like a box and a structure on thrash, and I don't know, it's endless what you can do with it, because like thrash never died, and there's always like thrash bands around and stuff, and all of them are just great influences just to, I don't know, help just learn something if you don't know it.
And going back to like that inspiration and influences comment, you see a lot of like different subgenres of thrash, where it's like death thrash, crossover, blackened, and you guys seem to pull a lot from each individual subgenre. So what like bands or subgenres individually would you guys say you're influenced by?
Me personally, I come from a grunge background, like Alice in Chains, stuff like that, Stone Temple Pilots. I listen to a lot of new metal. I listen to new wave. I listen to country. I listen to a lot of stuff, So it all kind of ties in somewhere,
In your playing
with just the elements of everything, It's
very true.
Yeah.
Right on. And on your guys' Mayhem and Monticello demo, you covered "Ride the Lightning." What about this song in particular kind of warranted the cover?
Dude, honestly, that was so long ago. we were like barely out of high school, if even we were out of high school. I don't remember, but him and I really liked Metallica, and these guys weren't even in the band at the time. Mm-hmm. So it was basically me and him. We were like, dude, what if we did Ride the Lightning? Because we really liked Metallica at the time. We were younger. We weren't really like super well versed in like a lot of our musical tastes, or like kind of like what we wanted to write and stuff, and. So we were listening to a lot of Metallica at the time, and honestly, we just liked the song. Nothing in particular.
They've done covers before. They've thrown a couple covers on their albums and stuff like that. So we were like, you know what, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah.
So, and thematically and lyrically, that song has a lot in common with your guys' The Chair track.
Yeah.
Kind of politically driven, if you guys would agree. And how does that kind of like shape up the identity of the band, and like what kind of drove you guys to write The Chair?
Honestly, I probably took quite a bit of inspiration, from that song in particular, like "Ride the Lightning" at the time, because it was written around the time that we did that cover, mm-hmm. And I just I've battled internally with like the death penalty, just like, and so I wanted to talk about that a little bit, because mm-hmm. like everybody wants to watch like somebody die, like they all want to sit around and watch this person die, and they don't really think about how that's wrong. But then also you have the other side of it, like the death penalty, some people, do they deserve it? Like, it's just kind of a...
And tonight you played a song tackling addiction as a topic. Do you guys try to write about pretty heavy things, process stuff, and how's that look like with everyone having like their own opinions and mm-hmm. their own takes and life experiences on those kind of topics?
We definitely try to like, what was it? We definitely try to speak our minds, and everybody, all of us are like friends, so we all just talk about like how we're feeling. We talk about what we've been through, and so I know Alex has said that he'll sometimes like pull inspiration from that, and also what was it? Just with the world that's going on today, there's plenty of fucking atrocities to pull from.
Okay. Anybody else had any comments on that?
I mean, I know like just like lyric wise and stuff. I do pull quite a bit from not just like my own experiences and stuff, but like he said, you know, we all talk about things that have happened to us, and I like to put that into our music. You know, it's like we want people to feel something when they hear our music, and also, you know, we talk about stuff that matters, but we also talk about stuff people can relate to, and kind of use it as a way to get that out there.
Right on. And Jordan, you write pretty technical. Like you play some pretty impressive leads.
Thank you.
And from all of the research I've done, this seems to be all of your guys' first band for the most part.
Yeah.
What was it? I was in a band in Indianapolis actually, but it never took lift off.
Yeah, I've been in a few. I think I counted it. This is like my 6th band technically. I've just been in so many, but I mean, none have ever like actually played out, and you know, it's all just been jamming with friends and starting a band, you know, all that stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Did that kind of like trial and error process inspire a lot of you guys to just jump straight into like the really impressive like technical thrash stuff? Because even on your website, you guys kind of flaunt a little bit about the leads and the licks and the groovy riffs. So it's kind of going like 110%. For a lot of your guys' very first band experience, or at least one that has taken off.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we wanted to just fucking, you know, jump right in with going serious. You know, that was like the entire thing. That's the reason we got these two, was because we, you know, went out there and we're like, hey, we're getting serious. You know, we're really looking to start touring and you know, getting gigs and, you know, really pushing forward. So that's kind of what drove that to.
So that was like the first
off.
requirement on both of their auditions. Like, look, we're serious. We don't want to. It's not just a hobby, and like it is, but we want to go the next step. You know?
And Alex, your wife manages the band, and your brother Jacob played bass for a spell, like in the very beginning. Do you think there's a big importance of keeping things like DIY and tight knit when it comes to like making audible art, especially in metal?
For sure. You know, it's like, but there comes a certain point where sometimes, you know, you don't want to entangle those relationships sometimes, and you know, fuck things up. You know, and you know, we've even talked about like managing duties in particular, like, you know, are we going this way, that way? Do we get somebody more professional, you know, who has more contacts in the music industry, that kind of thing. But then also with like Jacob in the band, it's not like he left on horrible terms or anything. You know, we talked about it, and it's good to just, you know, we're all tight knit, but it's like we're still a family. You know, it's not like we're not kicking you out or anything because we hate you or anything. He wanted to go some, you know, separate ways, and that's cool. But when it comes to like DIY, if you can find people like-minded that are that close to you and can do what you're wanting to do, you know, it really does work out for, you know, a band that is just like built on feeling and built on trust and stuff like that. And it does keep that bond in between everybody. And if it doesn't work out, we all still love each other, you know.
And it seems like you know, you guys are all pretty good friends, especially with Lucas. You came from Ohio, as it says on your website, to play bass in here.
Yeah.
What was your reaction to the indie scene? Were you very familiar before you came over here to play with Salivus?
No, I've never been to Indiana before I started playing. So, yeah, I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I used to go to some of the shows in Cleveland. I used to go to see Assault, which is a big thrash band up there. I used to follow them around a lot. And but yeah, like things just kind of went south with the one band I was serious with. I was looking for a band to just run with, you know. I was serious about it. This is what I want to do with my life. I want to be a professional musician, and you got to put time into it. You got to dedicate yourself to it. And I found these guys, and I couldn't find anyone else like anywhere in my area. But these guys were just so like business oriented and just like good, you know. It's like and like-minded. It's so hard to find that. You think with all the bands you can find people that are like-minded that you can just jam with, but you can't. It's so hard.
So would it be safe to say that you found a place in the indie scene that you had a struggle finding over in like your home city?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah. I'd say just with that, like, I mean, just the other bands and stuff. It's just I feel like I fit in more than with the Cleveland scene and stuff. Like, not that Cleveland's bad or anything. I love playing Cleveland and everything. Just as far as a home base, you know, I feel more fit. You know.
That's great. And we asked Matt from Wraith when we had him on, in the actual same spot you guys are standing, if he thought that there was a stylistic importance or uniqueness to Midwest thrash, and I wanted to get what your guys' takes were on that or opinions on that. Almost in the same vein as like Florida death metal or Norwegian black metal. I kind of noticed that Midwest thrash has a lot more aggressive feel and vocal style than a lot of other subgenres or locations. And I was wondering what you guys thought about that.
Well, I know for us, like our number one thing, and what was it? Our number one thing is just music. It's like we really just want to make sure that, like, because a lot of the time that people find us, it's through like the tracks. It's not really through videos on like socials. But what keeps people around is like that new music coming in, and so like it's always about just trying to be original, trying to be new, not really trying to copy anybody. Just because like you got to stand out, and especially if like we're focusing on the music to stand out, then like we just got to bring it, type of thing.
And that's like and that's kind of like our version of Midwest thrash, you know. We don't even really like hold ourselves to. That's just like where we're from, you know. I honestly haven't heard a whole lot of Midwest thrash. Like I couldn't really name a whole lot of like our area thrash, except for maybe like Aviator from Ohio or
Damage.
Damage.
DM us. We wanna know who's out there for real.
Because we would like to play with if we're gonna be sticking around the area,
Yeah.
we would love to play with like thrash bands like that, But we also play with a lot of like death metal and hardcore, and that's awesome too. But when it comes to like the Midwest thrash, I feel like we're trying to carve our own sound with that. But I do agree with you that it is pretty aggressive.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the reason for that is like I feel like there's a lot of it's like a melting pot. There's cities in the Midwest where there's a lot going on, and then there's parts where there's just nothing, and it's just a bunch of old people that complain and try to find problems with everything. That's kind of where I came from. I came from a small suburban town, and it's just I don't know. I feel like that's kind of a big reason for a lot of the anger. I feel like a lot of anger brews because of like differences in opinions and opposition. If someone's far one way, someone's going to jump the other way.
Like easier to compare stuff like you guys and bands like Frontal Assault and Damage and Grave Ripper. Exactly. Then it would be easy as to compare stuff like Bloodletter to Megadeth. It feels like the Midwest is really starting to pave its own way for a regional sound. And I'm really glad to see your guys' contribution to it, because I remember the last time I seen y'all, I remember commenting that there was a track you guys had that sounded very bass heavy, very suicidal tendencies, and then there was a track that the only thing I could compare it to would be like a Kill 'Em All era or Killing Is My Business era, even, for like if we're speaking Big Four terms. And you guys have some really awesome like release art. Blistering being like the guy being set on fire from how good y'all's tracks are, and Tricks being like this big TV monster. How much of that like of your guys' own vision goes into that art and tries to convey the messages behind the songs you guys are writing?
So much.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, we talk for a fucking hot minute. Like we're like
Hours.
carving out a paragraph like of what we want, and then we'll go back and be like, okay, what if we actually changed that and then did this instead of that? And then it's probably a nightmare for artists sometimes, because once we get this, we send it to the artist, and then the artist crafts what we told them, and then we'll go back and be like, okay, can we actually do this and this? And so it's really all of our collective vision. We all sign off on it. So basically the whole thing is us. But then obviously it's the artist's interpretation of what we're telling them. But it's all of our vision.
And then just some information for the people watching. Who did the art for Blistering and for Tricks?
Well, honestly, both times it was Fiverr artists. So I don't really have complete names, but our new EP it's coming out. We have an artist online. Their name is Moniz on Instagram, and they're fucking awesome. They're super communicative, and we're going to be going through them for some different merch art for our EP art.
They made a flyer for us. It's the Star Spangled Banner,
No, that was
bald eagle.
Oh yeah. They made the design for that, and then we send that off to somebody else to do the actual flyer. But yeah, they made that art for us. So we just once we find somebody that can lock in on that, it's pretty great.
Really cool.
And do you guys try to stick to a sound of Salivus, or for this new EP, are you guys switching things up? Maybe tearing down some walls, or as you said, escaping the box that you don't want to be put in?
Honestly, I feel like part of our sound is getting out of that box and just switching things up. We don't want to make the same thing over and over, but we still want it to be our distinct sound. Have our elements in it. But honestly, I think all of our visions, come out, and we can make something that is our sound, and that is just kind of all of us collectively making something new.
I see it as we're Salivus type of thing, and because especially since everybody pulls from different bands, different genres. It's like we all just come together just to hash out ideas, hash out new ways. We even will run ideas even if we don't agree with them, just to see what it sounds like, just to compare and contrast.
And so, like, the mission would be, like, for every release, you guys want to keep things fresh. You want to keep
Yeah,
things
yeah.
new.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's pretty much all I had for you guys today.
Oh, yeah.
If you guys wanted to advertise anything, any new releases, new shows you guys got?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've got our new EP coming up. I don't know when this will be posted, so I don't want to do too many shows, like too recent shows or anything. But we are going to the Iowa Metal Underground Fest in August, so that'll be cool. But yeah, mainly just look out for our new EP that's coming out, and we're gonna
Alright.
have a bunch of merch designs coming out with it.
Glad to hear it. Thank you guys so much for your
Thank you,
time.
man.
Nice talking.
Great talking to y'all.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.